Hey guys, McKeon Roberts from Wired to Fish, and we're going to talk jerkbait setups today, specifically when we're fishing in kayaks. Jerkbaits are an amazing way to cover water and catch smallmouth pretty much anywhere you go. It's a favorite tactic of mine, and with that, again, we'll talk setup. So, I think the first thing to think about when you're trying to buy a combo, and you can fish a spinning combo or a casting combo, whatever you're comfortable with. Lately, I guess I've probably gravitated more towards a casting combo. Now, when you're using a jerkbait, you're doing exactly that. You're imparting action on the bait by ripping or jerking the bait. So that's an arm motion with your elbow, your wrist, your shoulder, all day long, cast after cast. In order to alleviate any fatigue, you want to stay on the lighter side of your combo. And so the combo that I've kind of gravitated towards, and there's a couple different brands that you can use that make a really light casting rod. This one in particular happens to be a Cash and Icon. It's a jerkbait specific rod, topwater or jerkbait. And the reason it's specific for jerkbait or topwater is because it's a medium power. Jerkbaits have 2 or 3 treble hooks on them. So you want a rod with a little bit of give when you go to set the hook, especially because you're whapping that rod tip. You might load into that fish midway through your jerk. That way you're not ripping the treble hook from the skin of the fish's mouth. So a rod with a little give helps keep those treble hooks in the fish's mouth. Talk about length here. I'm a little bit taller of a guy, and so this is a 7-foot rod. Now you're already low to the water when you're fishing in a kayak, and when you're imparting action with a jerkbait, you're always typically having your tip down. If you have a rod that is much longer than 7 feet, you're going to be hitting the water with your rod tip. And that's obviously not going to let you get that full ripping action of the jerkbait. So if you're in a kayak and you're maybe a little bit shorter guy than I am, I wouldn't be afraid to go to a rod that is less than 7 feet in length. 6'6", something like that, whatever you're comfortable with. But again, a lot of times you're having your rod tip down, imparting that action. So that's some things that you want to consider when you're thinking about your rod and length and weight. And then we can talk about reels a little bit. So middle of the road gear ratio is pretty good. 7 to 1, 7.5 to 1 might be kind of pushing it. And then you also don't want anything necessarily too slow either. Again, middle of the road. But going back to the weight, try to find a casting reel that's small and is light. And so this one right here happens to be a Lew's Custom Light SLP, and it's 4.9 ounces. It's a very, very light casting reel. And then in general, if I was to pick a line size or strength, I think 12-pound fluorocarbon is pretty universal. Fluorocarbon has less stretch than mono, so that helps kind of get that real erratic action of the jerkbait. Mono might absorb a little bit too much of that, so you're losing that really erratic action of the jerkbait. And then braid might be a little too non-stretch, again, going back to the treble hooks, where if you hook a fish, no stretch, treble hooks might rip out of that fish's mouth. If you're a spinning rod guy, find a larger arbor spool, something that's going to let you cast a little bit farther, pick up a little bit more line. It's okay to use braided line if you're using a spinning reel with a smooth drag. Again, 6.5, 7 foot medium action rod, something with a little bit more give that isn't so fast. And you can get the job done with a jerkbait on a spinning combo. And so when we're retrieving the bait, we're talking about our cadence of the bait. And there is a jerkbait rule of thumb out there which is going to get you started. After that, you'll kind of get a feel for things. But literally the best way to work a jerkbait is jerk, jerk, pause. Jerk, jerk, pause. So whap, 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 or whap, whap, wait, whap, whap. So as you can imagine, that jerkbait's darting back and forth and then hanging in one spot, maybe floating up slightly depending on the jerkbait you have. Some of them suspend, which is super deadly for smallmouth. They're popping around, thing stops, that's when the fish knows to hit it. That's what makes jerkbaits so deadly. So that's the kind of go-to cadence, jerk, jerk, pause. As water temperatures rise, you can lessen the length of your pause, more erratic action, maybe a 3 jerk or 4 jerk and then pause, something a little bit more faster and erratic. Jerkbaits are very, very good in cold water because they can be fished so slowly. You could pause that thing forever and a day if the water is really cold. So some iteration of jerk, jerk, pause. The pause length will depend on the water temperature and the mood of the fish. So there you have it. There's some information on jerkbait, combos, and cadence when you're out there fishing in a kayak. If you're looking for more information, visit oldtownwatercraft.com.